it's Andrew from TechRaptor. I'm here with Joe from Airship Syndicate, and I just saw some Darksiders Genesis. So this is set before the Darksiders series everybody knows, right?
It is. It's a prequel, and it's a good jumping on point if you are not familiar with Darksiders at all. Since it predates even DS1, you can actually play this first. But if you have played the other three, then it's cool because we touch on a lot of the moments that are discussed over the course of the other three games.
And you mentioned this is like they're very new to being horsemen, so it's them figuring out what that means, right?
Right. So in DS2, you witness sort of the destruction of the Nephilim, which the Four Horsemen took part in, wiping out their own kind. So this game takes place shortly after that war in Eden, and the Horsemen kind of have parted ways, and War and Strife get called back to see what Lucifer's next plan is for mankind. They've now moved them to a new planet. So it's kind of setting the stage for the events in DS1.
And this is the first time we see Strife. What went into the creation of that? Was that something that's been going on since the first Darksiders? They had an idea for him, or was this you guys were given a lot of how'd that go?
Yeah, it's funny. So way back in DS1, I had actually concepted all four of the Horsemen, and some of them have undergone some changes since the early inception, especially War. We had like this Halo-looking War, and we called RoboCop War. But he went through a few iterations. Okay. But Strife actually looks a lot like the very first drawing I did of him years ago. And Gunfire actually featured him in DS3 for a few cutscenes, and so I updated his concept. We were working on it like at the same time, so we were like kind of bouncing him back and forth. But he's pretty close to how he was way back in the day.
Does that include like his personality? Because like you mentioned, this has a little more humor, and he seems to be the driver of that. Is that?
I mean, so his personality, back before we knew who they really were, I thought like, oh, he'll be like this silent like assassin mute or something. But it didn't really, as we started to develop their personalities and stuff, and especially since this one's multiplayer, and he's got to like buddy up with War, who's a pretty serious, stoic guy. The obvious way to push him would be like to be a little more upbeat and funny and create this dynamic between them where Strife loves getting under his skin, but they obviously really care about each other. Although, in this game, they're still learning how to work together, and they like question each other's motives and tactics, and so by doing that you get to learn a lot more about them. I think if they were both like these serious dudes just doing their job, it wouldn't be very fun. So we just are going for fun here with this game.
So you said this is a lot closer to DS1 in terms of its look and how your approach to it. How hard was it to bring that style of combat into that isometric view? Like what went into that? Was that the ideal where we just want it to be exactly, or not exactly, but we want to emulate that as close as possible, but in this new way to experience it? Yeah,
totally. It was really important to us that it feel like Darksiders, number one. And number two, it's strange because the camera benefits the combat, like not having to worry about camera controls at all. And keeping both players on the screen together. Strife's more of a twin-stick shooter, so he definitely needs a top-down camera, for this style of gameplay. So it kind of helped, to be honest, to do it isometric rather than being challenging.
Yeah. All right. So was that like the idea at the beginning, like that you had I'm guessing with the series, there's been ideas kicking around of other things you could possibly do. Was this like one of the early ones that you'd like to shift it to that kind of view, or?
Well, for us, there was like a few reasons. One, just from a practical standpoint, we're a really small studio still. We've grown quite a bit since Battle Chasers, but we're still way too small to make like a full AAA like Darksiders game. And so if we were going to do it at all, it would have to be something like manageable in scope, and I think Ryan just pitched the idea of like, what about this Guardians of Light style puzzly traversal, top-down game, and everyone kind of loved the idea, and then we threw in multiplayer, and the combat had to feel like Darksiders, and then suddenly it kind of became, it kind of moved away from that original Guardian of Light idea and became like its own thing. So I know people look at it and think, oh, maybe it's an ARPG because it looks like Diablo or whatever, Once you jump in and you start playing, you'll see all the Darksiders combats there, the traversals there, puzzles.
Sure.
So it really is like a top-down Darksiders.
Was it because it was a 3D space kind of before? Was it hard to make that traversal into this? Because watching it, it just kind of looked like it should have, like it was Darksiders.
Yeah, again, like I think because we control the camera and you don't have to worry about it, we kind of put it where it needs to be so that all you have to worry about is like timing your jumps.
Sure.
And so I think, it just works really well.
Well, I think that's it for me. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, it comes out this year. Shockingly, a lot of people are like, wait, DS3 just came out. How is this happening? So we will be out this year on PC, Stadia, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch.
All right.
Everything, basically.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. That was Joe. We're talking Darksiders Genesis. Keep an eye out for more. Thank you.